Thanks for joining us for our Chamber Connection podcast. Thanks to our friends at Speakeasy, we are here for the next 52 weeks, bringing you guests from around our community, elected officials, business owners, folks doing great work here in Macomb County. So sit back, take a listen, and we hope you'll join us every week for our Chamber Connection.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us for our Chamber Connection podcast. Well, today's a little bit different because not only are we doing our weekly podcast, but we have our owner of our podcast studio, David Adamczyk, with us. David, good morning.
Oh, thank you, Stacy. Pleasure to be here.
So I feel like I'm, on the spot and going to get a grade today. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. But the reason you're joining us is because, hey, thank you for letting us use this space every single week to highlight our chamber members, what's going on in our community, and some great stuff that we've been able to do.
Thank you, Stacy. It's a pleasure. I mean, here at Media, we try and welcome our doors to every community, every business that wants to come in and convey their message of what they want to get out there, whether it's a little small group to even city officials, platforms, whatever it may be, yoga class, whatever you want to do. We kind of have the platform for them.
So if you followed us for a while, I think we're coming up on almost a year of doing our podcast. You notice that our set has changed, the visuals changed. Talk about what you've done in the last couple of months. Because you've been a busy guy.
I appreciate it because, originally Media formed from Speakeasy Podcast Network. Yeah. And so many of the members know us from Speakeasy. We rebranded to Media. And it's really more fitting because people say media. What media? Exactly. Because media takes on so many forms. And we went ahead and said, hey, the part of old school podcasting now is really out the window. I mean, sitting here today, you and I really are not doing podcasts. We're going to drop an audio feed to the Chamber's channel, but we're really doing video. We're doing professional video in a full green screen studio that we could have it look like the set we have right now we could be on Dodge Park. We could be up in Shelby, in Utica, Washington, wherever that background wants to be or a member wants to convey, that's where we can have that creative feel. And aside from just the podcasting or the corporate video stuff, Media took on some legacy services that we've done. Matter of fact, I think you even saw us at one. We do commercial audio and video for public events, private events. I think you were sitting there, I think with your mom and a couple other dignitaries.
When the president was in town.
When the president came to town, we were doing audio.
Yeah.
So Media takes on many forms, and whether from audio to video to lighting, and even the in-house studio services. So we enjoy it. We enjoy meeting with so many businesses to be able to provide them that special customized platform to convey their message in many, many different platforms.
So for our members that are out there, what are some services that you can provide for them? Obviously, I saw you running a soundboard, but what more does Media entail?
So in the studio here, we have all of our podcasting suite services. So from videos like these, it could be a stand-up video, whether it's a single guest host. It can be an individual video on its own, to a full show like you have or other companies have, to social media scheduling, design, creation, and the rollout to platforms. We have a new service that's actually coming up called a 30 for 30. Come in and shoot a 30-minute video, and you get 30 pieces of content from that for the month. So basically, you're pretty much almost dropping or could be dropping a piece of content every single day from one shoot. So, and then we also have the live event services for audio, video, lighting, and things like that some other companies may take, or some cities, public sector may want it for a reveal, maybe a community service event, or whatever that may be.
So in here, you talk about all the things that you can do. You can do podcasting. We should have planned ahead. We could be doing a yoga class right now as we do this podcast. But who should have a podcast?
It's really anybody. I mean, so, the Chamber had a great concept when we approached and we started talking. We said, hey, I remember you telling me, the Chamber said, we want to be able to get a message out and be able to engage our members more. And I said, hey, we've got an idea,
Got an idea.
Yeah. So in using this mechanism, it allows us to engage and even know, I've found through the Chamber here, many different companies that don't even exist. So if a company wants to convey a message, it can be from, like I said, yoga to wine, beer, food sales, catering services.
Some of my favorite podcasts we did were with cake and wine.
Oh,
So
I mean, nothing but Kanks is they clear the house always. It's a phenomenal group of people, and the food is incredible, as we know. But with respect to that, realtors, insurance brokers, property managers, no matter what it is, people have to get outside the normal day-to-day of the old school print, direct mailer. They think, oh, I've just got a website. Well, that's great, but nowadays, everybody, you put your old marketing hats back on from school and they say 7 impressions, the old school 7, and sometimes it's even more now.
it is.
And it's not just print. Nobody's getting print. Nobody's just looking at the web. We look at fads like TikTok and things like that. Those are here. They're going to be gone. We rely a lot upon YouTube, as it's the largest engine in the world.
Okay.
And everything is really kind of fostered and centered around that. So we design a lot of plans and a lot of services around YouTube for our customers and everything for engagement. And we talk to them about funnels and the whole marketing scheme to help them and guide them.
So how does it work? So let's say I'm a real estate agent and I want to get my message out about how I'm different than, other real estate markets. Do you recommend people do this as a series? Do you recommend just one-off? How does that work?
So we will sit down with them and say, what are you currently doing? What are your current marketing exposures, as we call them? What are you sending out? What are you conveying? What events? I mean, we look at the whole gamut of what that individual or company is doing. And then we'll say, okay, how do we build upon that or create another stream for them to go ahead and convey a different message? Or maybe it's the same branding and messaging, just in a broader softball throw out there. And what they do is we'll have an engagement meeting. We'll talk about this. We will look at video services. We'll look at podcasting services. A lot of times I recommend to a customer is get back into the old marketing stuff from college and you say, hey, is it the edge you learn? Edge you teach. So the thing is, I often say the branding that they're going to do is the secondary sell.
Sure.
And so if you train somebody, teach somebody in little tidbits, it builds recognition, stability, strength, and everything else. And then obviously it's branded to their messaging and everything else, and their company is the secondary sell. So being able to do that, and a lot of companies, have lost sight of that. Some are doing it very well.
Sure.
And so we just provide the mechanism for them at a very economical price.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. I think as people start to think about this, because podcasting really is on the up and it's hip and trendy right now, right? So for the first time in my life, we're doing something hip and trendy.
Right.
But we try to reach younger demographics. We try to reach other people. And when people look at podcasting, they think, I can't do that. That's well out of my marketing budget. But I think what you all do here at Media is really make it affordable for a small business owner to do something like that.
We do. We have 3 different plans. Basically, it centers around how much messaging they want to put out. So if they feel, let's take a podcast approach. If they look at a biweekly show or a weekly show, we also have a mid-tier package where they could come in once or twice a month and record a series of episodes that will drop weekly then. But nonetheless, everything is turnkey for them here at Media. We have all the engineering on site, some podcasting studios, and not to negatively sell my competition, but nobody has green screens like this. We have full digital audio recording in-house, not your stuff off the shelf at Micro Center, Best Buy, and things like that. Full studio cameras and everything else that provides the user the ability to shoot in 4K all the way up to 6K now. So those of the tech people out there that are listening.
Not that I want anything in 6K.
Right. But it allows them to have the creativity because they could take this, or say this particular episode here, and use multiple segments from it, right? But having 3 different platforms to be able to convey a message, do it totally in-house. You basically have your script, come in, everything is turnkey, come into our green room, relax, maybe have a coffee or soda or whatever you need to, and then be ready for your recording session. And we do all the editing, we do everything for them. and it provides a user that is not technical to be able to have a conveyance of this type of media across the whole world, across the internet now, that they've never had before.
Well, and I think people think that it is very challenging, time consuming, and I can speak from experience. Like, we usually do our podcast and it's about an hour from start to finish. So from the time that our guests and I arrive to the time we wrap up, you make this a very easy process for myself, which I assume you would make for any of your customers and clients that come in.
We do. They love it because they'll literally walk in, the studio's ready for them. Yep. We purposely schedule slots around company time so that you're not really waiting. We plan on what we call cleanup or setup time and post setup time or takedown time to allow so that the user has a true, it's all for me when they walk in the door. And we basically have put that out there into all of our services. I mean, when we go even outdoor into some of the audio events and things like that, our customers get full attention at that time. There's project managers assigned just to their events or in-house just to their podcasts. So we take pride in that. We take pride in being able to deliver a customized service for every single event.
So when you go offsite to do some of these events, what are some of the services that you provide there?
So full audio, whether that's a simple ribbon cutting where it's 2 speakers and we call it a microphone on a stick, right? To all the way, we can do audio for all the way up to like Freedom Hill, Dodge Park, and some of the other larger places, upwards to 2,000 to 5,000 people. That'd probably be the extent of the audio side. Video, obviously we're doing video here, multiple camera shoots we have. When we go into ballrooms or conference centers, multiple TVs, we have up to 15 to 20 different monitors and sizing and everything else in the back with switchers and editors and all that good stuff. And lighting that can go from stage lighting to regular theatrical lighting to regular conference room lighting if we wanted to do a shoot like this offsite.
As someone that does multiple events throughout the year, we have definitely had some where, old school sound systems just aren't cutting it. When you've got a room full of 300 people, the people in the back of the room, you want them to hear just as much as you want the people in the front row to hear. So I think that, having a reliable audio company is just as important as having people at your event.
We've been doing audio. I've personally done audio for a long time, dating back, I think, to the late 80s. And
so you had a microphone that plugged into the wall at that point?
No, we still had some pretty big consoles, as they call them, and things like that. But I'll never forget the first event that I did. It was back. You remember the movie Dirty Dancing when that came out, right?
Oh,
so that was like 87 or something.
You don't want to know where I was in 87. That's okay. I do remember Dirty Dancing.
So in 88, the Contours, who that song "Do You Love Me," they went around and they were doing a lot of events and corporate events. So there was a corporate event up at a country club up in Oakland County, and it was actually my very first audio job working for a company, and we're doing audio and lighting. And yeah, now there you had 2 little speakers, for this country club ballroom. With some lighting and things like that, but you have full band and everything else, all the way up to, I've done audio for several presidents now, and the one that actually you and your mom and other dignitaries were at. So you can see, the progression, whether it's here in the studio to dignitaries or regular acts. I try and partner with the actual customer to provide them, like I said, that customer feel and experience, but with the true talent that is needed for the talent.
Sure.
So, we're here, in podcasting studio, and, we need actually audio, but more professional video side and things like this. When we go outside, we have maybe a heavier audio-based skill set of engineers that are there. So we've got a great relationship with several engineers around town, and it's a great marriage for whatever client we have.
How did you dream all of this up?
So, I think it all started way back in the day. I loved as an entrepreneur to start things. It was probably back in the day, I claim it to the Detroit Free Press. I had a paper route.
Oh.
And, you're kind of like your own boss.
I'm sure that they'd hire you back.
Not. I am not, but it's so funny, Stacy. Back in the day, I had the little wagon.
Of course.
And so we lived in an apartment building over in the Canton area. And I'd pull that wagon. I had back in the day, it was considered a motor route, but it was me. I didn't have a vehicle. but I had like, I don't know, 80 dailies and 200 and some Sundays. I mean, I was killing it, right? But it was great. And you get used to this entrepreneurial spirit to say, hey, what does the customer need?
Sure.
Here, okay, they had papers then. But the thing is, being able to learn customer service truly at a young age was something I was blessed with and went to school for. And it's fun. I love meeting new people. I love helping them convey their message or their media.
And I think that's important in, you talked a few minutes ago, 7 times someone has to hear something to make a decision or make an impact. I think that's even changing now with the amount of media and information that we are all inundated with, whether it's social media, news media, billboards, podcasts. Like, we are inundated in so many different ways that for a business, they have to find a way to stand out and be different.
They do. And what we're actually targeting with our customers here in the video podcasting side, that conveyance of media really now changes even more so and we monitor monthly, quarterly, and yearly reports as to when you should be putting this content out on this platform compared to this platform, because certain people who are on Facebook, let's date ourselves a little bit. We call that dating now because Facebook is for our age, but Facebook for our age or older is prime time of this particular date.
Sure.
TikTok is this day. Instagram is this date.
Time.
So we work with our customers and let them know some of those market trends, as we call them, of what's happening, because we specifically target dropping or putting out their content in those time frames to make it most advantageous, most penetrable for the people to sit there and hear what they're putting out.
So I think, one of the things that we learn and what we try to convey to a small business that, we work with that's a chamber member is you can't do what you've always done before. It's kind of the story of my life here at the chamber. We don't do what we did 5-6 years ago anymore. We try different things. But the average business owner can't do that either.
Correct. You look at a marketing platform and you say, if you're doing the same thing, you're really declining. But now some people can say, hey, I'm doing the same thing and I've got a great specialized widget. Well, you're in a very unique sector. But those companies who say, why can't I just pierce through to the next level? Why am I just not reaching that next audience? It's because the old way of doing things maybe is different. It's do the same thing, use a different media to go ahead and convey it. And then at that point, you can go ahead and capture maybe a huge segment that you haven't even thought of capturing. And so at that point, it's a point where you could reach exponential growth, right? And just being able to get out of the box a little bit.
Well, and I think that was something that, we tried to do here, which is why the podcast came into play, and we've seen great success for it. What are some of the other clients that you have? What's some of the success that they've seen from kind of looking outside the box and looking at something different?
So, there was there's another realtor that we started to have here in the studio, Justin Ford. Great story. He came to us and he said, and you know what? This was actually a recommendation from one of the chamber members.
Hey.
And Justin came to us and he said, I want to be able to get my message out. He has a great faith story walk that he had, but he's a very successful realtor. And we created a platform for him that he was able to come in and tell his story, and his second sell is real estate. So he benefits both.
Yep.
And he's up to, I think, 5,000 listeners now on a weekly basis. I think maybe around there, maybe a little bit more. The largest one that we've had a lot of success with is myself and some of my engineers. We serve on a lot of churches locally for their video teams, right, and audio teams. And so we worked with a local church in Sterling Heights called Heritage Church. And we went to the pastors there and we said, hey, here's an opportunity that you could do. And they said, hey, we're thinking of doing something similar like this. And they said, well, the podcast is the way to go. They've created a podcast series, and we've worked with them in the branding, the rollout, the platform, frequency of drops, and they are just crushing it. Matter of fact, they're in the top 10% of podcast numbers and growth. Probably,
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good. But again, it's one of those listening to the people who do what they do.
Right.
I'm not telling a pastor how to go ahead and pastor, but they're very receptive to new things, and they're very into data. This is one group is data driven, and which helps.
Sure.
Because if a business owner wants to say, hey, I'm open to getting outside the box, out of my comfort zone.
Yep.
And sometimes business owners say, hey, I don't have a host. I don't have a talent. And so the thing is, what we often do is we say, hey, we'll co-host, we'll offer that. If not, they get a host, and then it helps get the business owner out of their comfort zone and get them in front of the microphone, in front of the camera, and be able to convey that message.
It's not as scary as people think it is.
Right?
You know, I think I've gotten better at this as the year has gone on.
You have done a great job, right? You've done a great job. I mean, some of the early podcasts.
Yes, they're very different today.
They are. And
not just because we're sitting in lovely chairs now instead of at a table.
Right? But it's something where it's unique, because not only that, with podcasting, you can't just do the same thing. You've got to switch it up. You've got to be creative, be able to change it, get a new flavor, because you never want stagnicity. You never want it to go stale. So
podcasting was somewhat popular prior to the pandemic. Do you think the pandemic expedited its popularity?
I think it exponentially did, because let's say we're all locked down, right? And no one had a way to engage with their customers, anywhere from the widget maker all the way up to municipalities and then Zoom. I think Zoom stock and Google Meet,
right,
just soared, because schools and municipalities, that was the way of communicating. And now businesses are able to say, wait a minute, that really worked. I just can't let this audience go. And they say, hey, let's keep this going and let's build upon it.
Right.
And let's get more customers. And how do we do that? So we have a lot of those conversations taking place.
Well, so podcasting's here to stay. If you're listening today and someone wants to contact you, how do they find you?
So they can the easiest way is the website, mediaavp.com. So audio video podcasting is what it stands for, mediaavp.com. We're happy to chat with them, set up a meeting, no cost, to sit, and we love to learn and meet new people. So give us a call, and we'd love to do that.
And I have to say, this has been we've received such great feedback from our guests that have been on here. I was at an event the other day with someone we had on a podcast guest, and I was being introduced to someone at a dinner table, and they said, didn't you host the podcast with my son-in-law? And I was like, I think I did. Yes. Okay.
That's great.
But people pay attention. People are following this. I think it's a new way to engage. It's not scary. But David, thank you for hosting us. And thank you for continuing to host us for the last year. And now we move into year 2 and only get better.
Thank you, Stacy. We enjoy working with the Chamber, and we love giving back and working with you to be able to help businesses, local partners, and neighbors of ours to be able to get to that next level. So thank you so much.
And you don't see David's team. They're fantastic. I have a friend behind the scenes, Josh. He makes sure that all of this works out well. David, you've done really well. This is fantastic. And thanks for having us here this morning.
Thank you so much.
All right, we hope you join us the next time on our next edition of The Chamber Connection, and we will see you then.
Thanks for tuning in to The Chamber Connection. Be sure to check out information on the Sterling Heights Regional Chamber of Commerce website, our Facebook page, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We look forward to you connecting with us and tuning in next time.